Welcome back to the Loud Sound Epicenter podcast. I am joined, as always, by my favorite co-host, Thomas777. Thank you for returning.
Yeah, of
And
course, man. Nothing I'd rather do.
and I'm actually in a very different situation right now because in about 14-ish hours, I'm going to be evacuating my hometown and heading down to Vegas, which I don't normally do. This will be my second trip. And one of the things I intend on doing while I'm down there is to watch the new Elvis movie, which is getting some hype on social media. And I've been getting amped up for it by watching the John Carpenter 1979 version, which no one on planet Earth seems to be aware of, or any historians have given a revisionist take on, because it's just one of those things that's kind of lost to history. And it takes somebody like Thomas to get back in there and remind people that this stuff still exists. So, obviously, no fast and heavy script here. I just wanted to ask Thomas just a kind of sweeping statement on what you think about the king of rock and roll, just generally speaking.
What about the Carpenter movie? It is interesting, man. Like people, yeah, it's not even so much that people dismiss it or disdain it. It's just nobody's even aware of it. But I mean, the whole thing is weird. Like we talked about, you know, Kurt Russell as Elvis is. I mean, that's hilarious and that's awesome. Elvis Pliskin, just like on its own terms, but it was a weird choice. And it was a weird choice for on its face to choose John Carpenter to direct it. But the thing to keep in mind is that it was originally a TV movie, and network TV movies were in those days, like in the from the 70s to the early to mid 90s. TV movies, they it was kind of a place where you'd find two kinds of directors at the helm of those things, those kinds of projects. You'd find like up and coming young guys, and you'd find directors were kind of like on the downward slope. Or there was a third category of TV directors, like guys who'd been at the helm of like primetime shows and stuff, who were trying to kind of make the leap to features, but they didn't yet have the connections or the brand cachet to start directing proper Hollywood features. So I mean, John Carpenter, this was I mean, he was fresh out of film school. He would have been fresh out of film school when he made it, and I mean that was just after Elvis died too. So I mean, it was weird that it was one of those things that you can never, especially somebody as monumental as Elvis, you can never drop a film or like a biopic treatment, immediately after they die, or like within 5 years after they die, and have it really kind of addressed, the 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 proper kind of meaning of their career. Frankly, it takes the perspective of time, but that's why I mean it's still weird that Carpenter ended up at the helm of that project, but Carpenter too. The he directed a version of Salem's Lot, and which is dope. I mean, weirdly, because Stephen King is shit. Some movie scripts of his that have been adapted from novels of his actually are really good, despite the source material being garbage. Like The Shining is another example. But Carpenter did this two-part TV miniseries in '79 of Salem's Lot, and it's a homage to Nosferatu, like very much on the nose. Okay, but it's really good. It's and it's a genuine horror movie. It's not it's not some it's not some cringe, like gothic vampire story. I mean, I don't go in for like vampire genre stuff like at all. I mean, I like Near Dark because that's like a Peckerwood crime movie. But but yeah, so I mean, my Carpenter, he got his start very much in TV movies, but this Elvis biopic, I'm gonna go see it probably this weekend with my dad. I go to the movies a lot, and I'm just curious. I know some people have objected to the casting, but I mean, it's like who would you cast as Elvis? Like just off the top of my head, um, I can't think of any like I wouldn't have like any actor who's currently alive and of proper age who I can think of that I just naturally cast in the role. But I don't know, man. It's hard to the main thing to me is, and I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see the film, but it's hard to convey like how impactful Elvis was on the culture. I mean, more so really than the Beatles, because the Beatles, like I've always making the point, was a contrived phenomenon. Like Beatlemania was an example of utterly manufactured hype. I mean, there was like an organic fan base of the Beatles, but the Beatles were a boy band, and then later, when they aged out of that and when that became passe anyway, they got rebranded as an edgy as an edgy rock band is what had been like, at least what was passing for like rock then, which which wasn't rock and roll in the sense that in any pure sense. I made that point before that what you know I've cited Wolfman Jack a lot as like as he wasn't just a media personage and like corny radio DJ. I mean, he was that too, but he had real insight into as a music historian, and he made the point that what jumped off with Beatlemania, that wasn't rock and roll. It was a totally different tendency. It was deliberately kind of at odds with with stuff like Elvis, like and Richie Valens and Buddy Holly and Jape Richardson and like all of that, and it was I mean that was on purpose, So people have this idea of there's some kind of linear progression, from rock and roll to the Beatles. Like that's really at odds with reality, and it doesn't. It does. It kind of it posits as linear something that really is not at all. Um and like I said, that was an aspect of Coulter Conf, because rock and roll is basically like southern, like it's southern like music of like poor white people. I mean that's what it was. And that was not much more popular than like sitting around like listening to like kind of like Delta blues, like black music. I mean, like this wasn't. It was looked at as like low class. It was in the case particularly rock and roll, it was like this is like rebel music that encourages people towards like loose moral behavior and things. It's not like there was a real, like, I mean, there's always been a moral panic around rock and roll, but and that's and that's why this owes this owes the kind of American hostility, like long preceding even kind of the New Deal revolution, and that's why the 20th century regime. I mean, this goes back to decades even before the war between the states. So among other things, the Beatles is quote is safe music. That's the kind of garbage you're supposed to listen to. Just like Nirvana is like the stuff you're supposed to listen to. You're not supposed to listen to rebel music. You're not supposed to listen to Peckerwood music. You're not supposed to listen to stuff that is at odds with egalitarian polite society values. So it's I find myself incessantly trying to like get people like. It's like trying to get people to stop drinking or something. It's like, look, put down your fucking libertarian books. It's like put down your fucking Jagoff like Beatles records. You don't want to be like an effeminate fuckhead like listening to the Beatles. Okay, like it's put down your like fucking libertarian. And some of them see the light and some of them don't. But I feel very strongly about this. Maybe that's just because like I'm a dick, but I think I'm onto something. I don't think I'm just being a dick. But that's what I understand Elvis. And if you want to, and aside from all that, aside from the kind of political sociology of it and everything else, in terms of Americana, like a real Americana, there wasn't really there wasn't really cultural Americana that was globally recognized prior to Elvis, other than I mean, I guess the auto industry would qualify somewhat because everybody, and early iterations of high tech. Like, you obviously that was like inextricably associated with America. And believe it or not, despite the fact that I keep up somewhat with fashion and style related stuff, not because I'm like a total fairy, but just because that if you want to understand kind of like the optics of cultural branding, that's important. Then it's just interesting. So like gives you insight into kind of like what the prime symbols are in any given epoch. The stuff, like the way people are dressed, and particularly what kind of like women's styles are being pushed. That's always associated, with like Paris and things, and kind of like European elegance. But believe it or not, like America was more at the forefront of that than you would think. Like well before America was a superpower. I'm talking like the 19 teens and 20s. It's like for better and worse. Like America's been responsible for a lot of really ugly styles in both men's and women's uh, clothes and things. But that was basically it. So you know, I'd argue that Elvis was the first kind of he was the first kind of like international like pop culture like figure. I mean, we take for granted that these people exist now, and in a lot of cases, the like like those that followed, it was like contrived. You know, Michael Jackson wasn't. I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan, although like I've got I'm the first to admit like he had incredible musical chops. It's just like not my kind of thing. I mean, aside from the fact that he was like creepy and all and like a chomo and stuff, but he that was very organic. And I mean, I'm old enough to remember like when he was like at the top of the charts back when music charts meant something. But I mean, I stipulate like a lot of these kinds of pop, a lot of these kinds of pop singers and stuff. Like I said, it was their ascendancy was really kind of contrived. But in Michael Jackson's case, it was not, and that's kind of the closest thing. That's kind of the closest comparison I can think of to Elvis in terms of like impactful visibility and things. But Elvis was the first figure like that, and that's that's and he was just, I mean he was just a dynamic guy, man. Like it and he had an interesting he had an interesting he had an interesting trajectory. And, Elvis really served in the Cold War Army. Like he like Colonel Tom Parker made sure that he Elvis didn't just go. Elvis was a tanker, and he Parker and he made sure that he deployed to West Germany. And I mean that was during they were the Berlin crises and stuff. That was he was that's the U.S. Army was head to head with Ivan in them days. So like that and that was very calculated. That was good. That was good PR. Because despite what people claim, like the draft is never particularly popular in like any epoch, but and that added to his cachet, and the fact that he was kind of like out of the public eye for 2 years doing his thing, and it didn't just kind of silence his critics or like this guy's just some kind of morally loose hillbilly who's corrupting people with his rock and roll jive. You know it appeased a lot of those kinds of culture critics, but it also it kept he was off everybody's radar for 2 years, which is kind of just long enough to allow him to build anticipation and build value in his brand and things, as it were. Interesting guy. Came to a sad end, but I don't know. I read about Elvis had a lot of health problems, and I mean, frankly, because thankfully, like I'm not nearly as badly off as Elvis was at the end of his life, and but I day to day, being like in chronic pain and stuff, and like having fucked up health issues. People are always like they're always kind of making fun of Elvis for saying like, oh, he was like a massive druggie. It's like, I mean, I don't know, man. If you feel like shit all the time and you're maintaining some grueling touring schedule, you're gonna need stuff like speed. You're gonna need stuff like Dilaudid. You're gonna you're gonna be like drugs kind of fuel that thing. Like that. Even people who were in better health than Elvis was. I mean, I'm not. That's not some apologia for massive drug abuse, but I can assure you Elvis wasn't like partying and having a good time when he was like down in like 50 pills a day. Okay, I mean the whole thing's the whole thing's kind of bleak. But his mom dropped dead in her early 40s too. And I mean, he's not. The guy was a hillbilly from Tupelo. I mean, people. I'm not being flippant about it, but people with that kind of background don't exactly live. Aren't exactly long-lived people. I mean, plus it's like, it's like, it's like at the end of, it's like Terrell says to Roy Batty in Blade Runner. The brightest light burns twice as bright, but half as long. I mean, generally, you do sacrifice longevity, and if you I mean, people whose life trajectory is meteoric, like truly meteoric, often don't live to be old, and in fact, they come to a rather sad end. I mean, so that's kind of the way to look at it. I'm glad all of this has kind of entered people's entered the cultural lexicon again, and hopefully the film is an honest take on the thing and not some social propaganda piece. But we'll see. I'll be interested in your take on it. Like I said, I'm gonna try and go see it probably sometime this weekend, but um, it might be another week depending on how I'm feeling and what's going on. But this is kind of like that's kind of my just off the top of my head like take on the Elvis situation. So that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, no, no, because this is a good opportunity for Generation Z to get a proper introduction to Elvis. Because even like I saw Tom Hanks was talking about who's in the film, how when
Yeah,
he was intellectually developing, he knew Elvis as like this washed up actor who was doing those GI Blues, Hawaii
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so, like, that's one phase of his life that many people probably use to summarize his legacy. And it's just very complicated because, like you were saying, a lot of this early rock stuff gets classified under the motto, classic rock. There's no nuance between, Buddy Holly and the Beatles. It's all just like one big thing, even though one's American and one's literally a foreign influence. You just kind of don't see it from that perspective. And like you said, it does betray a lot of the Southern roots. Buddy Holly was from Texas, and as you said, Tupelo was Elvis. There's a strong history there, and it seems like a lot of that kind of goes by the wayside. And it's we could talk about how there is a big distinction between like 50s Elvis and Elvis the actor, Elvis getting involved with Hollywood. He talked about how he didn't really like that whole aspect of his career, and so
No, exactly.
there's a lot of nuance just within Elvis's different phases, and I'm curious how this film is going to betray that. I know when people do the revisionism for Elvis, it's always about the fact that it was set during segregation. It was set during a time when white kids weren't aware of the blues and sort of the black gospel, and so it's sort of like an entry point into all the different music that was around in music or in America. But I don't really see that explicitly as counterculture because again, I don't the gospel is a lot more true to the historic American nation than something like the Beatles talking about drugs and you know, that
But
kind of
also, yeah, and those people don't understand the South. Like if you were like some poor, if you were some poor, dirt poor white guy like Elvis in the South, you just like black and white people like living on top of each other. So it's like this idea that like nobody knew about black music. It's like that. It's like yeah, if you lived in like New York City, like yeah, that's true, man. Like if you were like a redneck from the middle of nowhere in Mississippi, like you were very very aware of like black folk and the stuff they were doing. I mean, like in a lot of places they were the majority of the population. I mean, it's there's this kind of like ridiculous understanding. Like people don't understand like what the South was and like how like you know how things broke down there. And I mean, one of the reasons why the racial tensions became so severe, after the war between the states is because again, in a lot of places on the ground, like blacks were the majority. Okay, I mean, it's this idea that like it's really strange, man. Like I've talked to people who I mean, a lot of people these days are like very provincial. I mean, which is interesting. I mean, it because people live their lives in a kind of splendid insularity, like in a lot of ways. I mean, that's kind of fascinating too, because like high tech kind of facilitates that. But they've got this kind of like conceptual in their mind. They've got this kind of like conceptual vision of the South as being like 99.99% white, and there's like this tiny black minority that's like, locked behind some proverbial wall from everybody else. It's like literally like totally at odds with reality, But but it's also, yeah. I mean, and it plus, like in the South, like one of the everything from cartoons, like with the old Felix the Cat cartoons, to like minstrel shows, like there one of the reasons why like a lot of like Southern culture was like riffing on black stuff, either like in innocuous terms or kind of like making fun of it, like wow, these people are really primitive, is because like there was like a hyper awareness between the races of like each other's stuff. I mean, how could there not be? Like if you're around like blacks all day every day, because there's 70% of the population where you live. This idea that like oh, like whitey had no idea about black music, and Elvis quote. My favorite thing was like Elvis quote stole black music. It's like, oh, you mean those black guys playing guitars, singing in the English language, like according to like European conventions of music. Oh yeah, that's really really black there. Like it. So I mean, I get a kick out of that too, but it's also like it's not the way music is kind of like sports, like the way black people viewed Elvis. Because I mean, whatever you can say about blacks, like you can't say they're like dudes who like don't know music. Like the way if you're like a white dude who's got musical chops, like black people are just kind of like, oh, that's cool. It's the equivalent of being like a white dude who's got like, who can like sink like endless 3-pointers, like showing up at like the hood basketball court. Nobody's like, hey, you're stealing our game from us. It's like, like that's not the way like anybody looks at it. Like it's yeah. I mean, it's like its own thing, but in any event, yeah, I'll be interested to see one of the things about Elvis too, to your point, like I'll be interested to see how they portray Colonel Don Parker, because Parker's always I mean, Parker's kind of a fascinating guy, and he probably because Parker was a Dutchman, and this came out like later, like he made up this fake identity basically, and he was like a carny in Europe, and it's probably it's the evidence is strong that he probably was wanted for homicide in Europe, so he like literally hopped on some ship and like disembarked in America and like like made up this like faux identity because he was on the run from the law, but Parker people act like there's some unconscionable contract that Parker had with Elvis because he took just about like half of everything. But Elvis literally owes his ascendancy to Parker, and these dumb movies Elvis was in, like Parker's whole notion from the time he took on Elvis as a client to the day Elvis died was finding ways to make sure that the money would keep coming in. And yeah, Elvis got sick of this of making these endless kind of shit movies, but every one of those movies turned a profit. And I mean, so that was like money in like the pocket of Elvis, but also like money behind the Elvis, like money for the Elvis brand, like into like the Elvis coffers. And Parker, you take for granted now that like I mean, Vegas is weird now because you have this like like EDM is this big thing. So there's like these DJ residencies in lieu of kind of traditional shows and stuff. But the whole idea of like anybody, whether you're some like whether you're like DJ Tiesto or whether you're freaking like Dean Martin was doing in 1960 in the later 1960s. The whole idea of like a Las Vegas residency, like Elvis started that. Like in the later 60s when after the comeback special and everything, like it like Elvis's first like tenure in Vegas, like that wasn't done before. There weren't guys who were who were like recognizable celebrities whose brand had lost a bit of its cool factor, and who kind of were no longer had great appeal to the youth demographic, but still could draw a crowd. I mean, guys like that, like turning up in Vegas, for months or years and being kind of like the house entertainment at at one of the big casinos, like that was like Tom Parker like pitched that idea. Okay, I mean it wasn't just him obviously, but he was instrumental in making that happen. It's like, well, I mean you can say what you want. I mean, I'll tell you this much, man. Like Parker looked out for his guy a hell of a lot more than some freaking like random Hollywood agent does, like, you know, any given talent that he represents these days. I mean, so I think that's misguided too. And you know, plus it, but it's also, I mean, Elvis was a freaking Elvis was a grown man. He wasn't some freaking he wasn't some kid. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can argue that there's a certain naivete there, but again, dude, Parker was something of a crazy man, like outlaw type himself. You know, Carter wasn't some corporate guy who was, you know, rolling around, you know, like the rural South in a limo, like, you know, looking for like rednecks he could exploit or something. I mean, like Parker and Elvis, uh, one of the reasons they got along. I think Elvis's dad. I mean, Elvis had a good relationship with his dad and like looked out for him like he did his whole family. But you know, Elvis's dad was a limited guy, and I think Elvis kind of looked at Parker like a father figure. I mean, undoubtedly so, but you know, it's they look out for each other, man. You know, and it's I don't know. Elvis had a grueling tour. In the '70s, Elvis's touring schedule became pretty grueling. But it's also, I mean, that's if you want to stay relevant, man. I mean, even more so today. But Elvis, the '70s were a weird time, man, because that was before. I mean, as you know, like like rock stardom really peaked like in the '80s, and I mean, as you know about this because you're a music guy, and you know, like the record company monopoly on not just recording but distribution. I mean, that didn't really hit its zenith, you know, like until the early '80s, and you know, in the '70s, man, like yeah, you know, they were like rock stars were definitely making bank, but it was you still had to like tour and hustle pretty much all the time. You know, it wasn't really until like the kind of heyday of when we think of like guys, you know, like every 3 years, just kind of like, you know, releasing some overproduced album, you know, and then going on some like 4 month tours to promote the album and letting MTV and the radio do the rest. Like that wasn't how things were in 1975. I mean, obviously, you know, like you had to do what Elvis did. You had to hit like every major market, you know, and like play your ass off and like promote what you were doing. You know, especially a guy like Elvis, because you know he was older, and obviously, you know, by the '70s, Elvis wasn't playing rock and roll anymore. You know what I mean? Because he was too old to do that. You know, and it's so if you're pandering, you know, like if your fan base is now, you know, like a middle aged demographic, like you really had to put asses in seats. So I mean, it's like I don't know. People claim that like Parker was like exploiting Elvis by like forcing that touring schedule on him. It's like again, I mean, Elvis was a grown man, and secondly, like the reason he was still bringing stacking cash in 1977 when he died is because of that touring schedule. You know, it's like I don't know. So it's more complicated than. And I'm not sitting here saying like Colonel Tom Parker was like some kind of saint or something, but he also wasn't just a villain. You know, like you know, it's complicated. I mean, people are complicated, but he's a fascinating guy. So hopefully in this film they don't kind of take the cheap route and just like vilify Parker and paint. But it's like to me to Elvis too. Like I mean, yeah, Elvis was a provincial guy. That's one of the things that was cool about him is that he was like a very real person. But Elvis wasn't like some fucking retard. You know, like he wasn't something like you know he was a worldly guy, particularly by the time he was like middle age. You know, this idea that he was like this fucking idiot, like Barney Fife type, who was just kind of like, you know, being led around by the nose by Parker, being led around by the dick by like various women. It's like that's not that kind of besmirches his memory, man. So I don't like that either. But that's what I'm kind of prejudiced, man, because you know, we like Elvis a lot in this thing, you know. And if people don't get that, well they're fucked up.
Yeah, that's right. Because you know, it's because it is interesting. I was just thinking of this probably like 3 in the morning, but I think there's a very strong, and I don't mean to declare war on the Italians, but I think there's a very strong contrast between Elvis and Frank Sinatra. I linked a specific, I think it's Hung Freud, who is the alias in the chat, but he wrote this article comparing the relationship between Frank Sinatra and the Boomers. And really, before Elvis, music was parents and the kids listening to the same stuff kind of as a monolith. And
Yeah.
when Elvis came along, I don't see it so much as a counterculture. I see it as young people getting a space that is not against the values of the parents. Now, with the Beatles, it is against the parents. It's total hippie
Yeah,
ideology. It's very individualistic, counterculture. With Elvis, I feel like that's a big part of the brainwashing and the gaslighting. This sort of Elvis is sort of this anti-American hero, when we can even get into some of the stuff that Elvis was telling Nixon in the late 60s about
yeah,
how
man.
Beatlemania was out of control. All this hippie music is causing people to question authority and stuff like that just seemed to be on Elvis's mind. And, that's a very strange encounter to like roll up on the White House and like want to be a private investigator and all this, bringing a gun to the Oval Office
Well,
and
yeah,
so.
Red West said he was nervous too because he's like when he did go visit Nixon. I think like Haldeman actually liked Elvis because which is weird to think about because he was like really kind of a square dude. But this other guy in the press corps, like this younger guy, like he actually was like a fan. Like Haldeman thought Elvis was he's a good role model. But like this press corps dude whose name eludes me, like he actually like dug Elvis. So like he basically made sure Elvis's letter like got to Nixon. But then, like Red West said, I one of the red. If go out if you're at Elvis Head, like get on YouTube and check out two check out check out Billy Smith's the last like Memphis Mafia
Hmm.
dude still alive, and he's just like a great guy. And he was Elvis's cousin. He and his old lady still who are still married. They drop a lot of great stuff, but like Red West, towards the end of his life, he cut a lot of content, talking about those days, and he said that like yeah, he said he's like so yeah, he's like we get greeted by the Secret Service and stuff, and he's like he's like we go into the he's like they're like yeah look fellas like we gotta if you got like guns on you we basically like you gotta disarm before like you see the president and so he's like we all hand over our weapons and Elvis takes out like a 45 to him then he gives him like a 38 then he like reaches into his sock he's like I forgot about this one like a little like derringer and then he said that like these Secret Service guys like lead him to the bathroom. They said like when Elvis always used a stall. He like wouldn't like use a urinal, which is but he's like so he goes into the urinal and he said that like the Secret Service guy was standing outside and he says like I probably like Elvis is zipping his pants up, like they hear him go like God damn it, and then it's like 32 like just like like slides out like hits the floor and like slides out from under the stall. And he's like Secret Service guys like look the other way, like literally, like like okay, fuck it, we're not gonna. But yeah, like it's hilarious. Like these, like the Memphis Mafia was awesome because it's just like, I mean, yeah, like Elvis did get like nuttier and nuttier like as time went on, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like that's they were. I mean, part of it was they were like they were rednecks just having fun, but also Elvis 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 handled his own security like in house, and that was a big thing of his. So he had like Red and Sonny West, um, and Joe Esposito, and one or two other guys with him, and they were all strapped because like that was his security. I mean, Elvis was strapped too, but it's like people are like, oh, that's crazy or something. But it's like, well, if you're like some like big Hollywood guy, man, going around these days, he's probably got like Blackwater types around him, and like if he's going out in public, he's got the friggin' police with him too. Like it. So I mean, it's like, yeah, I stipulate that these guys, these guys were all like rednecks and they were like having fun, and that was part of why they were always friggin' strapped to the teeth. But part of it was like, well, they that was their security, and like even when Elvis wasn't topping the charts anymore, like he was one of the most friggin' recognizable people in America. I mean, he was getting mobbed like constantly. Even when he died, I mean, in '77, um, it there's people who'd like congregate like outside Graceland every day, just like crazy like Elvis fans, like I'm not trying to put shade on him. I mean, he was like an icon to a lot of people, like some of whom you know didn't have real happy lives, and he was kind of like a reprieve from that, in their day to day, and that's great. But I mean, literally, and it wasn't just like women; it'd be like dudes who like just like looked at Elvis like freaking as is like more than human or something. So my point is that like he was a dude who he wasn't just being like a paranoiac or like a crazy hillbilly for running around strapped all the time. I mean that like he had a guy like him had to be. And I mean like I said, it's a credit to him. He had a handful of guys around him he could trust to just like arm up and like watch his back. I mean he wasn't some asshole who had a freaking 50 deep like security team of freaking off duty cops, and like if anybody came near him he'd like fucking shit his pants because he was you know some fucking idiot like Howard Stern or like one of these fucking or like uh or like one of these like Hollywood shitheads who like freaks the fuck out and like takes 10 showers if like some fucking fan girl like brushes up against him, trying to break through to give him a hug or something. Like so you got to look at it like that. But it's also, I mean, Elvis was just a weird guy. I mean, that's like, I mean, it's a fact, and it's like I don't know, man. Like anybody who, but that's one of the reasons he's cool because there's like and anyone that's got genuine swagger or who's got like genuine cool cachet is going to be kind of fucking weird. Not like some fake like contrived like I'm quirky way, but in like a real way. Like, and the South is weird, man, and like hillbillies are weird. I mean that's why that's that's one of the reasons why what he did and what people like him do was like so freaking resonant. Like I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna reserve judgment on the movie. I mean, like I said, um I agree with Scorsese. I've come back as an example like many times in recent months, but that aside from the fact that Hollywood's uh always up on some obnoxious ideological content they're trying to push, there's been a precipitous decline in just filmmaking like as a thing. Like the art of filmmaking is definitely dead at that level in terms of what's being put out by big studios. But there are independent films being put out that are dope and are better than what was being released in wide release 10, 20 years ago. And there's even like a handful of studio movies that are pretty good that come out every couple of years. So I'm gonna reserve judgment, man. I mean, maybe it'll be like a freaking good maybe it'll be like a dignified and a correct treatment of the man in his career. I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's right. And I want to thank, who is this? BK. He reminded me because I was just realizing how much Elvis lore is in a lot of. I mean, even if it's just stuff in the background or just briefly. I mean, he reminded me of that True Romance, Val Kilmer playing Elvis for like 10 seconds, and
Yeah,
every time Christian Slater goes into the bathroom, that's his motivator. That's how he gets through whatever
yeah,
plot is in the way. And it's just a really brief, subtle thing, and that's all you really need. It's you don't really get characters like that.
yeah. No, I like that movie, and I like yeah that I'd forgotten that was Val Kilmer playing Elvis too, and like that
That's
yeah, that was really effective. No, True Romance is a good flick, and yeah, it shows it yeah, and it's yeah, that movie's full of Americana, like the
right.
classic cars that feature in it, just kind of like in the background, and just like a lot of the a lot of the aesthetics of it. It's an interesting movie, and it like Gary Oldman who plays a like crazy freaking like wigger pimp, like it
That's right. Yeah, yeah. A
and like in the
Drexel.
early '90s, like that. I mean, yeah, obviously it's supposed to be funny and weird, but it's also like in the early '90s in Detroit or Chicago, like you really met like dudes like that, like and that's it's yeah. I mean, everything about that movie screams like 1993, but it's yeah, like that. It it's not just a period piece. It's really iconic, and yeah, the fact that yeah, the fact, I mean, also too, it's something of a dark movie because like obviously the kid played by Christian Slater was like losing his mind. That's one of the reasons why like he talks to Elvis. Like
Mm,
it's not like part of it's because Elvis is his conscience. Elvis is like his hero, but he also like the guy's like literally like hearing voices. Like
right.
it's an interesting movie, and it Quentin Tarantino like was a decent screenwriter, man. Like when he's not I think he's frankly not a particularly good director, just in terms of his pure. I mean, just in terms of like his set pieces and things. But as a screenwriter, he's pretty good, man. You know, Natural Born Killers is a really good film,
I was just
and
about to
it's
say.
that's definitely more like Tarantino's stamp on it than Oliver Stone's. You know, like Oliver Stone's visual style is like all over it, but I mean, in terms of the narrative motif and things, um, that's a great movie. And True Romance, obviously, you know, Tarantino wrote that. Um, but it's yeah. So it Tarantino's like by the numbers is like is woke garbage, and his by the numbers just kind of, oh look, I've seen movies like, you know, Game of Death and Sonny Chiba Street Fighter. I'm so cool and hip, like that, like Kill Bill garbage. Like I mean, any like Tarantino should be like flogged fucking for putting out garbage like that. But you know, and like everything he yeah, I mean, I really despise. I really despise Tarantino in most respects, and like this kind of heavily Judaic pornography that he puts out. But yeah, I mean, his early efforts, and when he was confined to the role of screenwriter, I mean, he was up on something. I mean, at least in those two cases. But yeah, the it's one thing that's cool about True Romance is, like I said, it's full of real Americana. And Patricia Arquette, who unfortunately hasn't aged well. I'm not trying to be like overly mean. You know, a lot of that's not is out of people's hands. You know, but Patricia Arquette, and particularly in Lost Highway, but also in True Romance, I always thought she was real sexy, man. And um, so I like True Romance for that reason. And it yeah, that's just got a it's got a great cast. It's got a weird cast. Like Bronson Pinchot's in it. It's hilarious. Like that would seem like he's fighting with a girl, and she like fucking like hits him in his like cocaine stash goes over his face like when he's getting pulled
Right,
over.
right,
And,
right.
and
No,
like
but
fuck James Gandolfini's in it. Like I freaking hate
right.
The Sopranos. It's garbage. It's unbelievable fucking garbage. And if you like it, you're a fucking homo. But the James Gandolfini, like he was typecast as kind of like a scumbag, you know, instead of like 8mm, where he's I mean that's a bleak movie, but he's great in
Yeah,
that. Yeah, he plays the goon who uh who gets done in as he's, you know, about to kill the girl. Yeah, I think Tom Sizemore is in uh in True Romance. Yeah, and yeah, it's very much like a time capsule, 1993. So I think it's pretty dope. Yeah, there's James Gandolfini.
and I remember one of this kind of goes back to Elvis, but a lot of the perspective on these '90s films is it kind of has the Tarantino influence, the kind of senseless violence. But you were one of the ones on Twitter's talking about how a lot of these, like Natural Born Killers, for example, is not about Bonnie and Clyde, and
Yeah, it's about
that was
Starkweather.
yeah, that's the impression that I got the first time I watched it, is that this is some kind of like updated, you know, like Warren Beatty type deal. But it's
A rip
actually
on yeah. It's about Starkweather and Carrie Ann Fugate, which is a really disturbing case. But you want to talk about like Peckerwood rock and roll? Like Starkweather was rock and roll, man. Like and that, I mean, he definitely. I mean, that's yeah. I don't have sympathy for what he did. I'm not going to shine on that. But you can't deny that like he himself was like iconic. I mean, one like a Hollywood filmmaker couldn't script that, but and that's kind of what the well, that's all the too. Like Woody Harrelson, like he's like this, he's like this Peckerwood like white trash murderer in the movie National Born Killers, but he like encapsulates what's supposed to represent like early '90s cool, you know, like right down to like his red sunglasses, you know, like that was like yeah, and I think that would be lost on people today. What's my favorite Elvis song? I saw some guy
oh
rock,
yeah,
yeah,
Raging Man.
rock.
Which
Um,
one?
Jailhouse Rock.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I just saw that movie recently, and
yeah,
it's
that's
fun.
yeah, that's peak Elvis. I I'm a big fan of like Elvis's later stuff from the '60s, like the comeback special era, and that's actually like my favorite pictures of Elvis are from that '68 era. You know, where he's rocking like the black leather jacket and stuff. But his Elvis had like his most raw and like and cool is Jailhouse Rock, like the film and the title track. But yeah, that's peak Elvis, man.
Well, and like you said about the music industry, on a past stream, you've said how the music industry is the most transparently corrupt industries because, like you said, you buy popularity, literally
Yeah,
buy influence. It's politics. But with Jailhouse Rock specifically, that being so early in his career, it's literally about how corrupt the I think it's RCA is as a
yeah,
record company because of how he gives them the song, they say they don't like it, and then they give it to another singer. They want that sound from somebody else, but not Elvis himself. And so
no,
it's people neglect. I know that the later Elvis movies are goofy and it's a downgrade each step of the way. But so some of this early like I said, the 50s Elvis distinction is very specific.
Elvis too. Yeah, I mean, Jailhouse Rock is dope, and I mean it stands alone because it's basically like it's basically like a proto music video in some ways. But Elvis had a handful of good flicks. King Creole is objectively like a good flick. Um, if you want like an Elvis movie that's not just like silly ass, like oh yeah, we're gonna go to the beach and have a party, man, or like, or like hey, we got to win the big race, man. Like I mean, King Creole's not. It's like a serious movie, and it's got yeah. I mean, so it's like I mean I agree. Most of those movies are like garbage, but yeah, if you're looking for a film other than Jailhouse Rock with like Elvis in the lead that's like watchable, like yeah, you should watch King Creole. But yeah, Jailhouse Rock is dope, man.
Did you ever see? I think it's the last movie he ever did. It was the Western. One sec.
Yeah, where he plays a half breed Indian. I'm trying to remember the name of it, and I'm drawing a
Yeah,
blank.
yeah, and it was like this was weird because he played it straight. He was not this.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
is it? Here, it should be somewhere in here. Charo. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. That's a weird movie. Like they played it. I didn't see that actually until like 10 or 12 years ago when AMC was. I don't know if they still do anymore. Actually, it's probably more like 15 or 20 years ago. Like AMC used to play like blocks of movies by featuring like the same actor or whatever, like the same motif. And yeah, I saw I hadn't seen Charo until that's like when I saw it. Like one of those movies I saw when I was like a kid, like in the '80s. They'd be showing them on like channel 50 WPWR Chicago or something. But like, yeah, I saw that one. Like I said, like as an adult, and it was unusual for Elvis. And yeah, he plays a half breed Indian, and yeah, it's supposed to be. You can tell you can tell that it was like his effort as well as like the studios of like casting Elvis in a serious role. I don't
Yeah,
remember much about it. So I mean, it wasn't like any kind of great movie, but it's not bad. But yeah, like I said, King Creole is kind of Elvis's, you know, like peak kind of. It's like peak Elvis in terms of like his acting chops, such that he had them.
yeah, and he always talked about how because he had a relationship with I don't know if it was intimate, but it was with the I think Nick Adams from a Rebel Without a Cause, and
Yeah,
he always wanted to be treated like a more like a regular like lawyer type actor, not just kind of
yeah, not
this
as like some
goofy.
novelty. Like yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's very interesting to see this stuff, especially after the '68 comeback. It makes you wonder if he was on this trajectory of getting back out there. But as you said, the '70s were very different for Elvis, and so it's an interesting arc. All of
yeah,
this whole
definitely.
trajectory.
It
Oh, this is
The
for
viewers need to know about King Ralph. Yeah.
no, no. That's really important. It's yeah. Edward's been or that's Douglas. Excuse me. He's
Well,
he
yeah, like I said the other day, or like last week, I guess now, like I hadn't thought about King Ralph in like 30 years.
No, it's I'd imagine that's pretty normal to
Oh, I speaking of that, I really like Chud because it's a freaking awesome movie. You know, Chud is an acronym, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. It's fucking dope. But that was one of John Goodman's first roles. He plays a
Was it?
cop. He plays a cop in the diner when the Chud's attack.
Oh, that's yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And but yeah, man, Chud is freaking great, man. Like but yeah,
It's a
I mean,
franchise.
Chud's one of those movies like I watch it like every few years just because I don't need any excuse to watch Chud, but I'd forgotten that John Goodman was in it, and I know that you guys like John Goodman, so I wanted to that just like adds to his cachet. Um, it's not only was he in that, but it was like one of his early movies. Yeah, Chud
Man.
2 is garbage, and it's a direct to video sequel in name only, and it's an abomination. But the original Chud is fucking
Yeah, I think you shared this trailer.
it's awesome. And like the chuds for I mean this was 1984, so it was shot in 83. Like the chud effects are fucking great. And it yeah, it's great, man. Like it's far better than any friggin' it's far better than it seems at a glance. Like I love chud. It's awesome that it's an acronym. Like
Yeah, yeah. No, those are popular, early '80s. That's how you got
yeah,
people
it
into it.
was also like you know, by '84, like that the true grindhouse era was like coming to an end, but you know, there was still what theaters ran like owed a lot to like what what they could get for distribution, and you still had like grimy theaters that were like running stuff like Chut and like, but it did have like more of like a budget behind it, you know, than like 1970s grindhouse fare. So like the effects are actually pretty good, and there's a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of like character actors in it who like pop up, like one of the guys who like I unless I'm losing my mind, one of the guys who played like you know one of like the robbers in the Home Alone, like he plays like one of the homeless guys in Chud who like finds out that like what the Chuds are and like what they're doing, and
Is that right?
yeah, and then John Goodman's in it, and yeah, it's dope. I can't for John Goodman fans as well as other people, I can't recommend Chud enough.
No, exactly, and just to give Douglas Edward his money's worth, I mean, if we're gonna shill, if we're gonna shill John Goodman, of course. Well, one of the most underrated ones is, Death Sentence, which is
That's a
actually
dope movie, and like we talked about, the guy who wrote the original Death Wish, which is also a dope movie. A guy named Brian Garfield wrote it, and the sequel to the novel Death Wish, which they made into the Charles Bronson film, was called Death Sentence. And Garfield died a few years back, but he said that Death Sentence was actually like a proper adaptation. He's like that was like about the only proper like adaptation of like my work. I mean, he liked the
oh,
original,
man.
but no, Death Sentence was a dope movie, and I'd forgotten about it until you raised it. We started discussing it, then it and yeah, the it well, it's all the too. It shows that like vigilantism is like a hollow and pointless. You know, like
Yeah.
like I'm not talking about like I'm all for I'm all for justice being swift and severe, but you know, like in a detached way that you know is correct in the eyes of God. Like personal vendetta, like you know, vengeance is always hollow. I mean, that's a big motif of the movie, and it yeah, and John Goodman's great in that. Yeah, he's just a really good actor, man. He's got tremendous range. Even though it's a
That's
flawed movie, uh, 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 Cloverfield Lane, like is that?
yeah,
I think the ending. I don't want to drop spoilers for people who haven't seen it who might want to see it. I think the ending's like a cop out and kind of stupid, but the whole slow burn and the build up is really dope, and it also shows you like what's problematic about like what these like about the fantasies of like prepper idiots. It's like okay, like fine, like here's your fallout shelter. You're gonna like go down in there, you know, with like John Goodman goes down in there with the girl and like with like the annoying like rando hipster guy, but it's like, okay, like so now you're stuck in like your bunker with these fucking people, like what, like how it conveys that, like but it but it's a good it's a good it's flawed, like I said, primarily because the ending is not. I think it's a cop out, but the performances are solid, and first and foremost, John Goodman. Yeah.
Somebody's asking. One second. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have to share screens for this one. Someone's asking for your opinions on kissing cousins. And that was I think one of the Elvis.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, it's. I don't remember Elvis. Yeah, I mean that and Clambake and like all these other freaking all these other like silly ass movies from the kind of period of peak productivity. These like paint by numbers Elvis movies. I don't know. They're all kind of the same. Like
Right.
I couldn't tell you the plot of Kissing Cousins anymore. Like I could tell you the plot of like Clambake. Like that's why I raised King Creole, because it's like the only. It's about the only one of those that freaking stands out. Like I don't. Yeah, I'm sure I saw it at some point, but I don't know.
No, it's this guy. Um Somebody. Oh, Oscar, good for you, man. Finally, someone else who has seen the Kurt Russell biopic. Nah, it's he does look
No,
like.
I know if he said it, he liked it. Yeah, I like it too. I wasn't trying to put shade on it. It's interesting, and I mean, John Carpenter before he likes to come to like I don't know if it's alcoholic dementia or what, because like John Carpenter like totally lost his mind. They started putting out garbage like Ghosts of Mars and like dropping like deranged like
That's right.
like woke statements. Like he like literally like lost his mind. But
What?
before all that, before that kind of sad fate befell him, everything he did was at least interesting. And Kurt Russell's always interesting on screen, man. Like even some of Kurt Russell's like lesser movies, I think he's interesting to watch. He's just a cool actor. So no, I agree, man. My only point was that it was weird that it was released like so soon after all of us died. It was weird that it was it's weird they went that route. It was like a TV movie with John Carpenter at the helm. Like that's just it was like kind of like it was like halfway to making a real like big budget biopic, and then kind of picking this kind of up and coming indie filmmaker. Like the whole thing was weird. Like
Right.
like I said, it would be it was like yeah it
Do you remember who did the soundtrack for Ghost of Mars?
no, who was it?
It was Anthrax
Oh,
during
no
the.
kidding. Wow,
Yeah,
I forgotten that. And
because it
I
was
like
very
that era
meta.
of Anthrax, man, because I'm a big Armored Saint fan. So I like the I like that era of Anthrax, but then I do like the Joey Belladonna era. It and yeah, Ice Cube's in that movie for no reason.
That's
Like Carpenter really lost it. Like Village of the Damned. I don't think that movie's as awful as people said it was upon release, but I mean, Carpenter's career kind of ended in the Mouth of Madness, which I think is dope. Um, and upon release, like that didn't. I saw it in the theater and I thought it was great. But it it was kind of unduly panned upon release. But that was Carpenter's last like worthwhile movie, and after that, he just like his adaptation. Actually, let me qualify that. His adaptation of Vampires,
Oh
um,
yeah.
which it's not great. Like I'm a huge fan of John Stakely. He did Armor, and he wrote the book Armor, which is a kind of spiritual sequel and definitely a homage like Starship Troopers. That's one of my favorite military science fiction books, and it's like a huge impact on my own writing. But Stakely also wrote a book called Vampires, and in the book, like vampirism, it's kind of like near dark because it's presented as this kind of like disgusting biological condition, and it follows these guys who are these private military contractors who work closely with the Vatican, but also like they just take contracts to like eradicate vampires, like where they show up, and it's like that's one part kind of like dirty hazmat kind of removal job, like one part like PMC, like direct action mercenary work. So it's really interesting, conceptually, like how he approaches it, and um, the film adaptation with James Woods, it in some ways it captures sort of like the spirit of the novel, but it was like a big letdown. Bauer is not like a terrible movie, but that's the only thing after Village of the Damned. Like, yeah, that's the only thing after In the Mouth of Madness that Carpenter did that was worthwhile. Like, then he just started like putting out crap, um and I maintain too, fucking like Escape from LA is one of the worst movies ever made. Like I really really hate that movie. It's one of the few movies I ever walked out of the theater in. And it's just like it's an utter piece of shit. It's like this Escape from New York's like such a classic, but yeah, I totally forgotten. Anthrax to the Sun to Goes to Mars. Yeah, you're right. It
Someone's asking, it's John Stakely, right? That's who you said.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the author. Yeah, Escape. Escape.
Yeah, like a video game without a video game. Exactly. Yeah. It was and like the monsters like all look like Marilyn Manson for some reason. Like
No, it's very very strange. But yeah, no, Escape from LA. I'm kind of on the fence on, because I gotta wonder how intentional a lot of the stuff is there. There's also that love interest who's kind of thrown in there, kind of like in
yeah.
Escape from New York. She's like a Muslim who was it's like illegal to be Muslim in the United States or something in the movie.
Yeah,
And
It's I mean everything about it, and it's like and it's like it's like this obnoxious, like on the nose, like trying to be like hip satire, but it's also like I mean the point again and again, particularly the the director's cut, like intro to Escape from New York, where Pliskin and like his war buddy like rob the Federal Reserve, and then they get on the bullet train. And then U.S. police force is waiting for him, and it guns down Pliskin's rappy, and he gets arrested. Like Escape from New York was a dark movie, and it was serious, man. Like the subject matter, if yeah, I realize it was over the top subject matter, but it dropped in 1981, which were incredibly dangerous times in terms of strategic situation in the world. It's the whole plot of the movie hinges on the fact that the world's on the brink of apocalypse, and if you read the original script, which is what the novelization is like based off of, the whole what's on the tape is a new like like a new kind of neutron bomb, which is like utterly devastating and capable of like essentially depopulating the Soviet Union is what's described on the tape by like the American atomic scientists. And that's like the president's big coup. He's going to say like, yeah, we're going to deploy this like within 24 hours, like if you don't agree with ceasefire, and it's like there's already been like a limited nuclear exchange, and like the world's going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, that's like it's and that this kind of stuff was like resonant with people because again, it dropped in 1981. Like these were very scary times. So like the fact that Carpenter basically like made a joke of his own freaking like brand and just made this like obnoxious, stupid movie that it's like Bill does that, and it's just like a slap in the face of the fans. It's like, but like I said, Carpenter like at some point lost his mind. Yeah, but his earlier stuff was great, and yeah, I think the Elvis biopic is worth watching. I mean, even and for just generally, if you like Elvis or if you like Kurt Russell, it's worth watching. It's not just worthwhile for people who are like film buffs. Is kind of an oddity. That's what I was getting at. But yeah, that's
someone was asking if you've seen Night of the Generals with Peter O'Toole.
I'm familiar with it, but no, I haven't seen it.
And it's basically a Lawrence of Arabia reunion. You got Omar Sharif.
Yeah. That's right.
Wow. Now, what is this? Oh, this was this film was French British, and it was shot in Warsaw at the time behind the Iron Curtain.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
There's an interesting movie. It's kind of gross, but it it's an art house movie, but also a horror movie. I can't remember the name of the director. It's called Possession. I'm thinking of it because Sam Neill's in it, and he was in The Mouth of Madness. But it's shot in West Berlin, and the film was released in 80, between 80 and 82. And in a bunch of shots, you see Checkpoint Charlie, and you see like the other side of the wall, like across the perimeter, which I think is fascinating. Um, and it got like the wall and Checkpoint Charlie become kind of like a set piece of the movie because it's like a metaphor for how like boxed in Sam Neill is. Kind of, I mean, he's in kind of a horrifying situation with his wife, but it's that I found films where that are, I mean, that one's like very much on the nose, but yeah, the movies that were both movies that were shot in the East Bloc itself, or movies where aspects of the Iron Curtain are like literally like a set piece are dope. I don't mean to look. I probably cut this short, but I'm
Yeah, yeah,
I'm I'm gonna have to bounce in a minute because I've been sitting for like an hour and that's starting to kind of hurt me. But
no problem.
this was,
Yeah,
yeah, I really appreciate you going live, man. And again, yeah, I after our guy and your pal Jack and I recorded, I fell asleep like an hour and a half. So yeah, I'm sorry for the delay and going live, but this was great. Have a good time in Vegas, man. Hit me up when you get there. Let me know you've arrived safely, and yeah, snap some photographs. I got our 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 lady journalist friend is in Amsterdam now, and so she's been sending me photos of Amsterdam, and which is cool.
gotcha.
So yeah, and I like it when our people drop photos on me. I haven't been to Vegas in Jesus like 25 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I yeah, I've had no reason to go back, but it wouldn't. I mean, it's not on the top of my list of places to return to, but I mean, it's fun. I mean, I had a good time there. It's I mean, if nothing else, you can there's always fun stuff to do when there's a lot of pretty ladies. So I mean that hey, what's not to like about that? You know, even if you don't even if you don't gamble. Um, but yeah, no, thank you thank you for going live today. I just because you're not gonna be around this weekend, I thought it might be nice.
No problem. Yeah, and you'll be on the Mind Phaser tomorrow, so that's
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna record for Mind Phaser tomorrow, and I'm gonna drop that hopefully on Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, we'll I mean, you and I'll go live next week with we should try and get like El Nino like into the to go live with us again too.
oh
Uh,
yeah, that's right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But anybody, yeah, yeah. I Paul Fahrenheit and Carrie will hold it down in your absence on Mind Phaser, but that's good. But yeah, all right, man. I won't keep you, and I gotta stretch my legs
No,
out and get out of the seated position.
no
But
problem. Thank you, man. Thank you as
yeah, no,
always.
likewise. Yeah, hit me up when you get to Vegas, and be good, people.
Yep. Thank you, Thomas. Well, Charlie, I have to take this opportunity to thank you for reminding me a very important video that I don't know if I can play. Does stuff like this get copyrighted on YouTube? But it's a very important video, and we like to keep it academic on the show, and so this is definitely in that wheelhouse. Am I able to share audio? Oh no. Well, I may not be able to, but I wanted to thank Charlemagne for helping me out here. I was in a bit of a rough spot, but I don't think I'm going to be able to share audio, but this is something I haven't thought about in years. Have not even entered my mind for I can't even remember when, probably back when I was in high school. So, I was going through his Telegram and I found I think the tweet got deleted for some reason, But I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank him because this is important. Unironically, this was this like made my day at like 10 o'clock at night. So I really want to give a proper shout outs. I mean, few people can do that. Um, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Was there anything I also didn't get a chance to talk about Fear Factory, unfortunately, but that's all right. That's Geo. Uh, I basically just lied to him because that didn't end up happening. So that's we'll probably get to that at a later time, but that's important for him to get that back in my mind. It's also I remember Thomas would give them a shout out. Might have been on Telegram specifically. I don't remember that on Twitter. I'm sort of organizing all of the content and creating a backup archive just so we don't lose this stuff because stuff like this is really important. Sean Scorpion, thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. But yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll review the Elvis movie. Going to be active on. Let me. Some people were having an issue with the recent link. Excuse me on that. Let me fix that right now. Since since we have since people were asking about it, I'm going to save that onto the Google Doc. Here we go. Thank you guys. Yeah, sure thing, Charlemagne. Yeah, let me can I share here, hold on. Before I click that link. Tell me if you guys can hear this. No. Yeah, see, it's not going to work. Here, I'm going to switch mics. I'm going to switch mics because it's important. This is important. Okay, how about that? Can't hear? All right, we're gonna click on that video for to verify.
What's up, nigga? You want to talk some shit?
All right, are we back? That's an audio check. That's my audio check there. Are we all good for business? Okay, thank you. All right. All right, let's give this a try.
Like idolizing people, like that's
Oh, you got an idol.
Then going crazy for them.
Like, because you always appreciate people.
No, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Rogan, let's say Joe Rogan.
One person that
like,
there's one person I really do, like, respect to the max. That's Charlemagne.
Oh, Charlemagne the God? Shout out to Charlemagne the God.
Fire, bro.
That's another, I don't want to call them mentors. But, like, the reason why we doing this and the reason why I had this in my head is because I've been watching podcasts for the last 7 years. And that guy that you just mentioned and all the people that I said, those people to me are gods, bro.
It's just the way Charlemagne progressed
everything through
time. Because he became, at first, he was known as like the person who would like shit on you, or like try to make a moment. But now, no, now he gives out knowledge and shit. He's official.
Yo, you remember the Birdman interview with Charlemagne?
Disrespect me. That shit was funny, man.
All right. Well, that's good that we can get that stuff going. Oh, did I not? Oh my goodness. I thought I was sharing it. Are you serious? No. Are you kidding me? Wait a second. Hold on a second. My bad. Oh, okay, the audio was shared. Okay, good. Did they hold on. Oh yeah. Yo. Oh, that's so funny. Do you get a notification for that? That's pretty funny. Somebody, how many views does that thing have?
Like idolizing people like that.
Oh, it's okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I imagine that pops up in your inbox. It's the last thing in the description. Yeah, I would wonder if if people ever get confused, because I think if I type your name in, that's gotta be the autocorrect. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna get like history, but then that guy also gets pushed through the algorithm. That's pretty funny. That's pretty insane. Well, that's good. That's good that we got the audio all working here. But we can't play clips. We learned that in the one stream. Time do we got? 6 o'clock for Jay Burden. Thursday's a nice day where we don't have to worry about other people's schedules, so that's very convenient. Thought I had something else in here that maybe not though. Oh, I wanted to thank somebody in here recommended Ace of Base. We were talking about Sweden, or maybe it was ABBA. But thank you, whoever that was. I'm sorry, I don't remember who. I like to try and keep track of that stuff. What else? What else? I'm just going through. Oh, I still got to reach out to this guy. I forgot about this. Did he just come out with a video? It was 3 weeks ago. Charlemagne, I got to reach out to you on Telegram or somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what you prefer to be reached out on. Forgot about that. I'll figure that out. What else? The Resident Evil 4 soundtrack. That might be one of our intros in the future. Stay tuned for that. We'll see. We'll see. What else we got in here? Let me try to think, because you guys were bombarding me with stuff to check out, including Raging Mandrill's Substack, which I recently found out was pretty active. So that's great. What else? Uh-oh. Got to be careful with that one. Somebody recommended BAP's interpretation of Mulholland Drive. I think he was I think it was a little. We probably don't see eye to eye on that, but it's interesting. Was that it? Let me think. Oh, that's right, Frank. Not Frank Cabal. But thank you. Who is this? Was this Vingol? I don't know who it was. We were talking about that was, I think, during the 2 a.m. stream. Okay, I think we're all caught up with recommendations, because this is going all the way back to the Semiagog. Yeah, this is going back a ways. Okay, I think we're all caught up here. Some of Oros's recommendations. Some other stuff. Okay, I think we're back to Gangster Party Line. Okay, I think that's alrighty. Well, thank you guys. Was that anybody specific? Let me see here. Oh, okay. Thank you, Charlemagne. No, just that works. We'll figure that out. Morcar, no, that's the AA gamer, right? That's if I remember right. No, that. Thank you, Tuesday, for reminding me. Yo, Jay Bird check. What the? Oh, Jay live reacting to Gangster Party Line. You'll love to see it. Zine Culture video, yes. Zine Culture Prudentialist. Brilliant stuff. Big brain content in here. Appreciate you dropping by. Excellent. Yes, Vingol, I think you were the one, Ace of Base. On Telegram, he's on Discord. Oh, really? Okay. Is that on Find My Friends? Give me a sec here. Tom Sizemore. Sorry, you're not in chat. Whoever recommended that, I think I was trying to find a way to wedge that in there. Yeah, let me go to Charlemagne's Telegram. Okay, there we go. Awesome. All right, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And then who else we got? The blonde from Ace. Okay. I think one of you was saying that if you do a background check on some of the people in that band, there's some right-wing stuff in there, something along those lines. Gym time, fellow gym cell, Todd, man, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Gonna have a lot. That's right. Charlemagne with the his own battalion squad. Jacob in here. Awesome. Yeah. Oh man, that's pretty funny though. It was Edward who recommended Ace of Base. Okay, thank you for that's helpful. Keeping everything in check here. What else? Any housekeeping things? They're Deep NRX, who is good on the audio check. Thank you, Oros. Appreciate that. Flight to Vegas. Click the use. Oh, okay, there you go. Alrighty. All right. Well, that was cozy. Did you say you were going with Geo soon? No. No, I've been trying to find an excuse to collab with Geo because in his hyper capitalist video, he talks about the influence of world music on metal in the 90s. I don't know how many people remember this, but the example that he gave specifically is there were a lot of extreme metal bands that were influenced by it. And it's very ironic because we talk about Gen X a lot. The two bands that were susceptible to globalism in metal was a band called Cynic and a band called Atheist, which is very ironic that those would, of all the bands, there's a lot of bands at that time. Those are the bands that became weak to modernity and fell for the push for globalism in music. Because if you listen to certain bands in the 90s, people got tired of the thrash sound, and so they started trying different stuff. And when it's something like the Metal Slug 3 soundtrack, that's a lot better than when you listen to some of these other bands trying to throw in instruments that don't quite fit. And it's try hard stuff. So that's something that Gio is very well read on. And he was recommending Fear Factory, which was one of those bands. They weren't in the world music category, but they were very of that time, and so it's a little dated. I was listening to it earlier today, and it's so I think I remember one of those songs from a Newgrounds video. I don't know how many of you guys were on Newgrounds. To me, that was the place to be. It was almost better than YouTube because it seemed like it was like 2016 4chan. That's where a lot of the energy was coming from. And man, that's where I got introduced to a lot of music. I think that's what normalized a lot of the cartoonish violence. So that stuff was, of course, dude. I'm never gonna. We never leave each other on red. It just doesn't happen. All right, we're. Yeah, Jay. I'd give anything to be in the room with Jay Burden watching Chex Notes, gangster party line. So true. Newgrounds. Oh man, place to be. That's right. Tom Fulp. Does anyone know that name? Tom Fulp. I think he even went to like VidCon or something like that. I found one of his interviews, and he name drops the guy from Public Enemy, Chuck D. Man, Tom Fulp, man, that was like a guy. Again, this was like before like oligarchs were in charge of social media. This was like Tom from MySpace. You just had a real human being at the helm of this online community. Can't imagine. Because what's that guy? Christopher Poole or something? Was that the 4chan guy? That was somebody who like got taken aback by the whole thing. Tom Fulp never really caved like that. Although the pressure wasn't really applied, I don't think. But for that time, I mean, that was pretty out there stuff. You even had some of the adult-rated animations. I don't know what time frame that was, but that was lightning in a bottle for sure. Remember the Madness series, the guys with the X and Y axis on their face. Is it just me? I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting here. Let me share screens here because we were doing some Resident Evil lore yesterday, and I just forgot how authentic a lot of that stuff was. Let me I'm talking about this, okay? And this might seem cartoonish. This is really like, where is it? Oh man. And he would it was like John Wick, you know. Each phase you would have okay, this is like later on. It got very modernized. They kept but yeah, he would try to fight he would try to fight Jesus and the devil. And then there would be the clown. Is this ringing a bell for anybody? I hope this isn't like heretical, because Jesus would win a lot of these, and the protagonist, you know, I guess you don't have to interpret him as the good guy, but it was so. I remember I found like one person from high school who knew what this was, and I'm like, "Are you serious? This is." See, it started out like this. Okay, imagine you're like an animator. You're just getting okay, and this was the Jesus. Okay, but then as the animation got more developed, you would get like if we could find a scene here. You would get like cinematic view. It would be like the Matrix. It wouldn't just be like a linear camera left to right. You know how the original GTAs, you had the overhead camera, and now you got, you know, third person, first person, whatever. Then they turned it into like this franchise. So this is, I mean, you want to talk about Zoomer lore. I mean, the early days of the internet, stuff like this. I think this is pre-social media. Oh man. And then there was another one. I can't remember the name of it though. I'm afraid to go on Newgrounds now because I guess that shouldn't be too bad. Last time I saw there was like anime and stuff. Oh man, this is so wholesome, man. I'm afraid we're gonna get like, you know, a very modern Fulpware, yo. Okay, so it's still going. Interesting. Nah, man, this was really something. But I forget what each thing was called. Is there like a classics section? This is where like World's Greatest Dad. I think Numa Guy may have came from here. What else? I'm trying to think of like the mainstream memes, not just. Oh man. Oh, I think Awesome. What is it? Awesome. Like Metal Gear Awesome 4, Grand Theft Awesome. I think that came here too. Okay, popular. Does this mean popular like can I pick like the old I guess views would be a good or maybe date. Nah, this is difficult to navigate through because it's so much time has passed. Anyways, I'm sorry if this is I don't does anyone even was it just me? Tuned out. Oh, okay. Whoops. Okay. Oops. I mean man. Yeah, it looks about the same. Visual meth. Yo, you dropped this, king. So, oh, picked a chat. What the? You got a ring, but I'm on her DSI. Man. Many such cases. I always like the streams of the chat. Yeah. Well, that's what I like this to be. Okay. Learned about Rammstein. That's pretty interesting. That is crazy. Yeah, I think that's what normalized metal for me. What is it? Oh man. And it was like that early 2000s wave. So, 3 Days Grace, Slipknot, a lot of that stuff was kind of getting pushed. Sometimes reads for like a minute on stream. A minute might be a little longer than that. Okay, no, I'm glad we're all on the same page. So that's how you know this is an authentic audience. Wingle, so true. Yo, Mutant in chat. Mutant, this is the Hegelian That Metal show. Thanks to you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. You can't keep a guy like this down. Oh man. Oh dude. I hate to be autistic for a second here, more so than usual. There was a series on Newgrounds called Zhao Zhao. It was just like I showed you. Madness, a very like not low res. It was good quality, but it was like beginner level animation, stick figures and what have you. And in the series, it never got finished, as far as I know. I remember I checked back like a year or so ago, and this was a series. It was the protagonist tries to beat the bad guy and they get away. It ended on a cliffhanger because the most high production episode was whatever this was, episode 7 or so, or maybe it was like 5, but this was the most like up to date of all the different phases of animation. This one was the most professional, and it ended. I mean, it's hardly a spoiler. People don't even know what I'm talking about. It ended with the protagonist jumps on the guy's car, and then I think he tries to. I forget what he tries to do, but the guy drives away, and then your protagonist just sits there, and that was like the finale. That was. And this is a guy who like tracked down his compound and all this stuff. It was like that Ray Liotta movie, Narc, which thank you for whoever that was who recommended that. But it was such a high production thing, and it never got a resolution. Unless I'm supposed to think that is. I don't know. It just felt very like unfinished. The stick figure fights. Brian knows what I'm talking about. Nah, it's true. Yo, Oscar. Yo, hold on. Now you know what we got to do. Hold on. One
Call
second.
me.
Hold on.
Start some shit, bitch.
Let me pull up this.
Sup, fool? You gonna talk shit about me, homie? Where you from? Hundreds of niggas is waiting for your motherfucking call, and they all talking shit about you right now.
You want to sell that shit? Call these motherfuckers ASAP.
Here we go.
Yeah, I said some shit. What? Man, fuck you and your bone spurs. The hardest niggas is standing by.
Give me a second.
Ready to pick up that phone. Buff niggas.
All right, here we go.
Dark niggas. Asian niggas. White niggas.
Suck my dick, bitch. Fuck you.
I can't find the glasses.
1213-373-4253.
Dude, where is it?
Just down, nigga. I'll fuck you up.
Deaf niggas.
I can't find the glasses.
Classic niggas. Racist niggas. Mystery niggas.
Man, this is
Psycho niggas. Dog niggas. Jewish niggas.
There we go. There
Got
we
some
go.
motherfucking nerds calling me out Shabbat on some little bullshit ass nigga. Better calm that shit down and come around here and show me some fucking respect before me and my Jewish niggas come up here and beat your ass, nigga. Off top.
Niggas talking shit. Call now.
$4.99 per minute.
Thank you, Oscar. And it's so true. Yeah, I'm thinking we got to rewatch this soon. I'm thinking it's been we got to get this studio set up too. Got to get this got to get the record player. Record player's in the next room. So, we'll see. We'll see. All right. We lost viewers. Why did we lose viewers? I can't imagine. You're telling me that's a downgrade? Give me a break with this stuff. $4.99 per minute, tax deductible. Mia and man, Oros is right. This is an up and comer. Barack Obama has competition. Pump up the volumes. It's proto streamer film. That's true. Did you ever see Adventures of Ford Fairlane? I might have to reference that because it's got Priscilla Presley. It's got Priscilla Presley in the movie. And it's kind of your typical mysterious female co-star. Not too much screen time, but just enough to stand out. There's a subtlety to it. And anyways, there's a scene in that movie with Gilbert Godfrey. And he plays like a disc jockey. In fact, can we find that? Sunday night movie streams. Well, that's the thing. If we get on Cozy, we'll be able to do that. Can you imagine that? Maybe people need to start thinking, what are some potential picks we could most people would probably expect Heather's, since that was what kind of got us into this mindset, but Loud Center Studios. Yeah, this is the new Studio 54 minus the you know what. We want that to be don't really want that. Let me find. Yeah, we're so back. What's Adventures of Ford Fairlane? And I know Thomas is kind of down on Andrew Dice Clay. But let me find this Gilbert Gottfried. Oh, that's right. He dies in the studio, too. That's not really a spoiler. Cozy for the boys. Yo, that's so true, man. It would be cozy. And it would be boys. Our foy cellas, as somebody said. But yeah, this is him in his studio. Breaks a record on air. That's Kino. And then somebody kills him. Is that her? No. No, that's not her. She has a different look than that. But as far as an aesthetic, you might want to check it out. Who is this again? This is somebody. She's somebody. She's somebody like who is Maddie Corman. We know who that is. We know who that is. From where? From where? Maddie Corman. Maddie Corman. Excuse me. Maddie Corman. What is it? 7 Minutes in Heaven? That's what it was. That's what it was. Where are you? 7 Minutes in Heaven. Underrated. Underrated. Because people want to give me flack for criticizing Winona Ryder's protagonist role. Similar dynamic in this film. Maddie Corman, way over her head. Cringe character. Not a role model. You know, I was pretty harsh. I was a little too harsh on Jennifer Connelly. Okay, it's not that bad. But I think it's a downgrade if we're going to compare. But Jennifer Connelly in this film is what Winona Ryder was supposed to be in Heathers. But she didn't do it. Didn't live up to it. So what are you going to do? That's not my fault. Is it on pirate radio? I don't know. That's not what I use. The executives. Yes, the executives. Pirate radio. I don't use that. I use 123 Movies. That's it's probably not the gold standard, but I don't know. It's not that bad. That's where I found the John Carpenter one. Okay, whatever you can find, it shouldn't be too bad. Ugh. Anyways, I think I'm gonna. What do we got? We got another hour till Jay Burden and Thomas 777. My goodness, same ace. Edward the Pale. He knows the struggle, man. You got to click the play button like 10 times. You got to threat detected. Got to click the play button a couple of times. X that out, X that out, X that out. Listen, I missed The Northman in theaters, okay? That was another question I didn't get to ask Thomas, unfortunately. But I missed it. But it's on Peacock. So I guess that's not the end of the world. My goodness. Could you imagine? Never being able to see The Northman in theaters. Man. Pretty good stuff. Just watched. Really? Oh, dude, so you got like a fresh take. Don't spoil it. Although I wouldn't blame you for doing so. I've waited way too long. So Willem Dafoe. Less than a minute? He's in the movie less than a minute? How about tell me that. Is that true? That's a spoiler I'm willing to hear. I was trying to remember where I saw the first Elvis trailer in theaters before Top Gun. What are movies that came out this year? What would have got me to the theaters? So going back to Man. Oh, was it the Batman? The Batman. Okay. That's what it was. That's what it was. No problem. He's in it for like 10 minutes. No. I kind of didn't want to know that, but that's okay. That's okay. I shouldn't have asked. I shouldn't have even flirted with that. That's okay. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. But I just recently saw The Lighthouse, so I'm amped up for more of that stuff. All right. Did I miss? Bruh. Okay. Let me see. Did I miss any voters? Yeah, I don't know, man. Ghost of Mars. I didn't watch the whole thing, I'll admit, but wasn't looking too good from what I was seeing. So that's why I got to push back, even if I'm biased, not really a worthy source. I gave you a free sub to my. Whoa, what the? Yeah, I gotta check out Charlemagne's his stuff. I was going through like his most recent articles a while ago, and that was good times. What do we got here? Hey, I might have to defend Escape from LA a little bit. Because look, you have to look at it from like a Batman and Robin perspective. We're not saying it's better than New York. Not saying that. I just don't think it's that bad. It's funny. It's a poorly done comedy. But I would never walk out of the theater for Escape from LA. You will not catch me doing that. Sean Scorpion said one effective scene. All right. Maybe I'll have to check that out. What I saw Winston Wolfe in here. What is Kennedy try to have Walker? Is that true? Yo, Reagan Lodge is in here. Yo, I love Reagan Lodge. Dude, I was thinking about having him on the show, but I don't know what we would talk about. I also got to check if that echo, how bad that was. Don't want the listening experience to be a drag. Somebody mentioned the Nixon and Elvis movie. Kevin Spacey as Nixon and Michael Shannon as Elvis. And I got about like 20 minutes into it. I didn't finish it, but I didn't really know where that was going. But that poster for that movie is in the Nixon library. That's true. Real and true. So I guess the Nixon library approves of the fact that Nixon has enough cachet to have that be made. What else we got here? Somebody was asking about the Jay Burden show. That's in an hour, or that's like 40-ish minutes. What the? I used to think Showgirls was funny. See, I never got around to watching that. I like Kyle MacLachlan though, so I probably should. I've heard nothing but horror stories though. Am I going to defend Sopranos? I will say Sopranos. This is the red pill, okay? And this isn't. Somebody else said this. Somebody who was on Cozy said this. But Sopranos is kind of a subversive gangster, not film, but it's subverting the gangster genre, especially with the therapist character. You know, that's, I mean, it's funny. Okay, it's a funny premise. It's to move the plot forward, but you understand, like, they're trying to show you this side of Tony Soprano that, I mean, it's different from when Scorsese humanizes his characters. In Sopranos, they're doing it in a very feminine way. You understand? It's based, but there is a subversive aspect that it seems like people don't even mention. They just go, "Oh, this is the thing." But you know what I mean? It's not to say, like, I wouldn't say what Thomas said. I wouldn't say it's throwaway. But be aware of that dynamic. It's a little too in that direction. So not a full defense, but there's something there. Oscar, oh my goodness. You know what's funny? The way that Kevin Costner kind of ends up at the end, that's very interesting. Because I don't know if it was true that he was related to Elvis. I forget how his arc went, but that's very interesting. There's a lot of cringe, like really bad stuff with the Elvis affairs, but I'm curious how accurate the kind of Kevin Costner character, how much that resembles reality. Yo, we just we just gotta have 2020 vision. Like, let me think of like, here's the thing, you know, Casino, okay, the De Niro character. Now, you don't have to look at it strictly through that lens, okay? And if you ever watch that broad, she's not that bad, but she's got these limitations with her reviews. If you ever watch Deep Focus Lens, you know, she just doesn't get a lot of the masculine stuff, okay? You know, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said that, like, some, like, female acquaintance of his checked out There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis, and he emphasized how she just couldn't watch it. Not like she couldn't get through it, at least that's not how I interpreted it. She couldn't grasp the film. You understand? Like, in other words, she could have made it through and watched it, but that doesn't mean it grips you the way that other people would. That's what this Deep Focus Lens reviewer, she does that with a lot of. She was doing that with some of Scorsese stuff. She was doing that with Eyes Wide Shut, infamously, was one that she kind of condemned the Tom Cruise character. But who was it? It was she didn't like the Sharon Stone character. And why do you think that is? Okay. And she's the type, like, if you've ever seen The Aviator, with DiCaprio, which unironically might be my favorite Scorsese film. That's another Literally Me movie that nobody really gives credit, but she's the type of, if she were to review that movie, she would probably say that, like, Ava Gardner stole the show, or what's the Catherine, who's the one that played Phyllis Schlafly? What's her name? Catherine. Everyone knows her. She's everyone's favorite British. What is her name? It's Catherine with a C. Catherine with a C. Kate Blanchett. Okay, I was wrong. It's Kate Blanchett. She would be the type of person to say, like, that's the main character. And it's like, no. That's a solid. Yeah, that is so. Hey, that scene, Oscar, that scene where or they're in the car. Is Christian Slater's in that movie too? Oh my goodness! There's that scene where they're doing the mock heavyweight champion fight. In the one corner, it's Elvis Presley. In the other corner, Frank Sinatra. The king is down. Who said the king is down? And Kevin Costner, a base take, okay? Probably one of the earliest examples of someone admitting that there's that dichotomy. And again, let me share screens. Because again, this is not, I didn't come up with this. I'm just the vessel to get this idea out there. This article, my goodness. And it barely gets into Elvis. But of course, that's a lot more salient right now with this movie, with what we've been talking about. This goes more in depth about Sinatra specifically, but you can read into between the lines this generational divide that we've talked with Oros, Jay Burden, Semi Agag. Very important point. And again, we got to. I think it's going to take a big leap to drop the sensitivity around a lot of these perspectives. Because Wendell from Cozy, oh my goodness, when does Wendell go live? I was meaning to. That's another one I want to. I never put the Discord link in chat. I'm such a bozo moment, having a bit of a bozo moment here. Ugh, give me a second. I never put the Discord. Okay, hold on. Ah. So anyways, like the Sopranos thing, smack talking Sinatra, all of these things are euphemisms for getting us to recognize the generational divide. And there's going to be some people that aren't going to want to use that perspective. Okay, so let me put that in chat. You're going to act like I'm... Yo, Vingle, have you seen that movie too? What the... Yo, are we just full on Kevin Costner heads in chat? What else does he say? Remember when he goes to the gas station? Oh man. Dude, that Mexican standoff with the cop. Oh. There's your George Romero tried to do like a Western style with one of the last movies he did. And in what Oscar's talking about, he just drops it in one scene. Sorry about the delay. The slug. Oh no, that's no, Vingle. Excuse me. That's Godfather. Sorry about that. I got my wires crossed. Well, check out the Aviary. Chandler, thank you so much, man. Dude, the ape. Because Martin Scorsese is infamous for, people say this in like a derogatory way. Oh, every movie's the same. It's rise and fall of the protagonist. Fall from grace. The hero's journey. Joseph Conrad. No, but The Aviator is so different because it's psychological. It's a lot different from the impulses of Mean Streets or Henry Hill. It's a different context. And man, God bless Martin Scorsese for even getting me to watch, or normalize rather, some of the period pieces. Because this is set, I think, in like the Roaring 20s, I think is the earliest. And, they go through Howard Hughes' life. But, DiCaprio, that's one of his, I thought that was one of his best performances. People love Shutter Island. And how many times do we got to hear about Wolf of Wall Street? Okay, yeah. Oh, my God. Whoa, you saw that too? Whoa, dude, that's crazy. Yo, bass guitarist. Shout out to bass guitarist. Saw some Twitter content that was pretty cool. Yes, there you go. No, I wanted That would make me sound so paranoid. So thank you, Vingel. Better archive features. Yeah, well, it's got it. I wanted to save some of the episodes, like that episode with Thomas, me, and Wendell. That's I have that. I don't know where I'm gonna put that. You know, that would be nice to do like a replay on Cozy. That would be convenient. Yeah, no, bass guitarist. I'm the same way. People probably think I'm just like schizo posting, but there's some cool stuff there. Yes, Chad metal. Never forget. I'm really back into Ingve right now. I'm back. I mean, we never left, but we're back. All right. And then is Window going live? I don't want to step on. Don't want to rock the boat. Boat rocking. Want to minimize the boat rocking. He's going to have a stream on the rise of Southern Republicans. Very important. Oh, and it's the Black Brothers. I read this. Well, I didn't read it. I was watching an interview of The Vital South, which is a book that can help you make sense of electoral politics. And, oh, man, I didn't even know about this book specifically. But, my goodness. What the? Picanones. What's this about? Oh, no. Never mind about that. Vingel, dude, are you on Twitter or something? Where can I track down the Vingel? Where is the Vingel headquarters? Calling all patriots. We're going to be having Vingel night at the White House. It's going to be... Shutter Island sucks. What the freaking heck? Sean Scorpion. Okay, whoa, wait a second, pause. Let's not be so judgmental towards the only Martin Scorsese psychedelic thriller, please. Can we be a little more sympathetic than that? It's not that. Okay, if we're talking about like the political angle, okay. Thomas referenced that with Tarantino. But listen, Shutter Island. Mutant. Oh man. Diamond Dave equals Chad Metal. Hey, pause. Pause moment. It's called we do a little pausing. Where is ba-ba-da-ba? Can't see because excuse me. There we go. I got some excuse me. Ugh. We're going to have to do some Tetris moves here. I'm going to have to move this piece to move this piece. Okay. One of the most important albums that defined my freshman, sophomore year, Blackout, heavy metal Scorpions, explicitly heavy metal. An underrated Van Halen album. Okay, underrated. Not cringe just because it's got Hagar singing about love songs. Okay, hold on a sec. One moment, please. Some thrash metal that is actually Christian. You see that at the top there? Contains live version of The Tempter. The Tempter is not their song. The Tempter is the first opening track from Trouble's debut, Psalm 9. They have a biblical song, Psalm 9, quoting, of course. And these guys covered it towards the end of the album. In fact, I think it's the last track. People want to say, oh, Christian metal, oh, Striper. This is, nobody's going to want to listen to that. Dude, some of the most technical, metal inspired by some Christian values. God-given talent, just like bass guitarists. You have God-given talent. These talents do not exist because of your individual pursuits. You have them given to you as a gift. anyways, this is a real Zoomer moment. A little Zoomer moment here. Some Guitar Hero. Okay, this is what I was looking for. This is I don't know if we want to call it where we want to end up or where we want to avoid ending up. But the last studio album, Diamond Dave. Everybody should listen to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Track 12, Act 1. Act 1's a bit misleading. It's towards the end of the album, but Act 1, look that up. You guys might walk away with something. I played that at a little get-together, and the people were not pleased. There was more confusion than approval. So, it is what it is. We try to do a little. We try to open up people's minds, and they're not receptive to it. That's okay. That's all right. There's actually 2 streams. Here's the thing. Wendell can afford some. He's got like a replay button, so that one will be. You guys might want to check that out a little later on. So I want to give a proper shout out because this guy's been doing me a favor. He's been doing me multiple favors. Oh, excuse me. My goodness. Oh, he's already live. My goodness. So anyways, we're going to wrap up here. I would also recommend just going here instead of watching this after show. But some content that I would recommend right now is that. And then when Jay Burden goes live in a couple minutes here, we're going to sign off. And I would like you guys to migrate. Charlemagne taught me this trick. Migrate over to the man, Mr. Burden. So, thank you. So, yeah, bass guitarist. He gets it. Oh, man. So, what do we got here? Oh, Chandler Holmes. Chandler Holmes is singing me the blues in chat. Chandler Holmes, please. Holmes, no. You can't do this, man. This verdict will not stand. I'll judge any movie I've seen 3 times. Pause. Was that you that said it? Shutter. That was Sean Scorpion. Wait, so Sean Scorpion and Chandler Holmes. This is talk about the allies over here. This is the Ally Alliance, and me, bass guitarist Oscar Vingel, were the Axis. You guys are just giving us such a hard time. Why do you want to get involved with things you know nothing about? So silly. We're getting a little silly is what we're getting. My goodness. 3 times? Please. Been bumping British Steel a lot this year. Yeah, British Steel is not one that I listen to consistently. What I hear? I'm gonna head up for be cool. Oh, thank you, Mutant. Hey, always a pleasure to see you, man. You're the man. You are cool. Never heard you speak on Back to the Future. Thoughts on it? Back to the Future is based. Michael J. Fox is based, especially in I have mostly written Substack article about Michael J. Fox and Family Ties. That's kind of like the ultimate Zoomer archetype, with some exceptions, because he's very he's basically drinking the Kool-Aid from the boomers, shilling some Reagan stuff. But in Back to the Future, creating skateboarding, that's pretty based. It's also very California-esque, so it's right up my alley. And Leah Thompson, that was her peak before she fell to the depths of Howard the Duck. I almost said Howard. What is it? Hudson Hawk. I almost said Hudson Hawk. That's a whole other thing. But Howard the Duck, not too different. Leah Thompson, please return home. You gotta drop all this silliness you're involved with, and you gotta. Yeah, exactly. Quaint. The quaint charm of the 50s with the rock and roll music. That's right. Shredding on the stage before it was cool. Foreshadowing metal at the dance. Earth Angel. Yeah, it's so true. I'm thinking we're literally back. We're back to the future. We're so back to the future. He does do an Eddie Van Halen. The guy on the recording, Eddie Van Halen. He uses Eddie Van Halen as the extremist pipeline to radicalize his father. Think about that. Coincidence? I forget where the movie's originally set in, but he could have picked any guitar hero. He could have picked Dick Dale and the Deltones. He could have picked Chuck Berry. Well, I mean, he does some of the Chuck Berry on stage, but he could have picked anybody to mimic from the future. He could have picked, the guitar heroes. And he picked Eddie Van Halen because that is the most, as Les Paul probably would have said, that is the signature sound of guitar shredding. And bass guitarist probably already knows this. You guys should go look up Les Paul, Eddie Van Halen. It's on the anniversary of something. I forget what the occasion is. But he's up there and he's playing Hot for Teacher. He's playing some of I just brought up You at 1-2. Mine All Mine. The Mine All Mine solo is in that little medley. He starts off with, I think, Cathedral. Which, hey, bass guitarist, Cathedral, it's good, but I mean, people are like, oh my gosh, Cathedral, and it's like, yeah, it's all right. I never understood the oh my gosh, these diver down heads. What's going on with these people, man? You got the guy who looks like George Costanza on stage with the keyboard solo. That goes hard. Almost bought DeLorean back in high school. Yo. Dude, yeah, we got to go in depth with that. I can't imagine. Howard the Duck. Pretty sick stuff. Cognitive dissonant knows. Pretty sick. It's overlooked. Yeah. No, you get it. Alex P. Keaton is proto-Zoomer. So true. He is. But we just got to lose some of the baggage. We got to lose some of the, some of the fusionism. We don't have to fuse with anybody. We just need virtue ethics. Joel Davis just put out a video, I think, a few hours ago. Are we going to have, a philosophical outlook on politics, or are we going to have this strictly materialist view? The choice is yours, Zoomer. Which way? 80s and the 50s. Yo, let's go. Yeah. Scandinavian. Yo, Vingel and Jay Burden crossover. All right, we're going to wind down here. I promise. All you guys, all you cool cats, you guys got to go over to Jay Burden. This guy's making, yo, Pete Canones. Yo, what the freaking heck? Sun Studios. Standing in that studio, so true, man. And what was it? What's that legendary performance of Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash? They have that epic recording in that room. That's legendary, man. If walls could talk, can't imagine, man. Pete, we got to do like a music stream or something, because you're the guy, man. You got the credentials, okay? That's insane. That your overkill lore. I can't can only imagine seeing Eddie Trunk, he got to get a first impression of Metallica's demo tape, and he was like, I don't know what this is, and he passed it on. This is why these boomers, they don't understand the future when they see it. They just don't get it. But Pete's he's got the foresight. Yeah, we got to collab one of these days, because I've been kind of edging in that direction. And yeah, Pete, obviously Pete, his series with Thomas and Paul Fahrenheit. He's doing Paul Fahrenheit most recently, the most recent series. Been breaking down the Yaki stuff. It's gonna demand your full attention. So something to here. Let me excuse me while I take down Gangster Hotline. Yeah, man, Pete has the and he just did an episode on Elite Theory. I mean, the guy's all over the place, breaking hearts and taking millions. As the quote from GTA 4. The guy is wait, did I link that correctly? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Free Man Beyond. There you go. Of course. But you guys are in the know. You guys wouldn't. Oh, dude, dude, bass guitarist, Tupelo. What's cool? There's actually there's a Alice Cooper song, Dragon Town. This was like during his like industrial era. He has this song called Disgraceland, and it's kind of like a cynical account of Elvis's life. And when Elvis goes to heaven, I'm paraphrasing, but almost verbatim, he says, Elvis, he sees the pearly gates. He says, "I come here to sing." And then St. Peter tells him, "We already got a king." So I remember back in community college playing that I think I had my Jeep at the time still. But that was good times. That was an underrated record. I don't really look at Alice Cooper as this gimmick person jumping from trend to trend. I think he does a lot of that stuff justice. But all right. We're winding down. But we love Pete, Paul Fahrenheit, Thomas, G.A. Bird, and Vingle. Vingle the man. Yo, Vingle needs me. I'm Vingle's top guy. All right. I'll go to bat for you, Vingle. I got your back, Vingle. That's what I mean. And I mean, you got to admit to yourself. Aviator is solid, though not one of my tops. I do like the visuals, mimicking strip technicolor. Yo, so true. Yeah, people know what's up. Yo, Soldier drum set. Took less than a minute to get a reply. Yo, let's go. Oh, there you go. Wholesome moment. Let's go. Yo, we're so back. What are we at here? Contrarian Critics Alliance. Yeah, gotta watch out. What else we got here? It's tough. It's tough, Dane. It's tough. It's a zoomer. It's a very zoomer disposition. I don't know. It's hard to tell where the zoomer ends and Nick begins, because Nick is kind of like a synthesis. He's accumulated a lot of that stuff, and if anything, I kind of take a lot of stuff from Thomas more, because my Thomas reminds me of first and foremost, like my family. That's kind of like my gold standard. And then, like, I remember Gavin McInnes was a big, someone who was political, but was just like a regular guy. And so all of that stuff, it's part of the development, you understand? It's not, it's a combination of things rather than if that makes sense. But thank you, Mr. House. Mr. House for, he did. That is accurate. But it's also when you watch a lot of Kai Schwimmer. Kai Clips will he'll get this thing out of you. It's hard to explain, This your inner Ned Bigby comes out. Your inner Drake Bell lets loose. Pretty soon you find yourself wandering through Spinner's records, and at that point it's a bit disorienting. Yo, Pete in chat. 1 second here. My history is it's pretty all over the place. Thanks thanks to you guys, but I appreciate it. We like to be all over the place. Yeah, we love Pete. Pete is the man. The real revisionist hub. Like to hear more of Nick's movie takes. Yeah, he's reviewing that Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I'm pretty out of the loop with Star Wars for the most part. It's just not really my bag. But I don't know. I'm hearing some positive things from some people. Hardcovers. Yo, are you serious? What I would expect Imperium to be on that. That's pretty interesting. That's right. Brad Pitt in True Romance, he's the stoner. His whole role is sitting on the couch and smoking weed. That's literally his character. I think one scene he's in the kitchen. Beyond that, it's not much. And then Dennis Hopper, that infamous scene that we can't even quote on air, but you know what I'm talking about. Him and Christopher Walken talking about Sicilians. Yeah, we do a little Dennis Hopper posting. All right, I'm back. Good to have you back, Brian. Yeah, Nick would kind of open my eyes with the looking at, what is it, Nightcrawler with a more like 2020 lens. So he's able to discern a lot of that stuff. Yo, World in Flames. Awesome. Yeah, Pete's got the Pete, I think I saw you on Twitter. You read Imperium in like 1 day. I thought that's what I remembered. But anyways, we're gonna lend over the mic to a little guy down well, actually I don't know where he's, I forget. I was gonna try and do a quote, but didn't quite make it. All right, we're gonna do the Jay Burden switcheroo. So this is in chat, of course, 6 o'clock. Expect this. He's got a poll already. All right, when he starts, remember all you guys. You're gonna want to go to that link, because this guy, he's the man. True Romance is the best date movie. Girls will cry and the men will feel cool. Yeah, that is kind of true, honestly. Kind of edges into that. You Midwest guys. Yeah, Elon, thank you for saving me. I was fumbling. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, show some love to Jay Burden. This guy's been hosting some real players. But yeah. True Romance is a good. I would think like date movie. A friend of mine recently showed his girl La La Land. I think that's kind of asking too much because it's a musical, but it's something to think about. But yeah, Pete, we gotta collab one of these days because all my friends keep going on your show, man. You're like the Ed Sullivan. You're the Ed Sullivan of you're the Milton Berle of the dissident right. You're that infamous line where Ed Sullivan tells Elvis, or he tells the audience to reassure them, this is a nice boy. This guy, he's not radical. He's not trying to separate kids from the parents. He's one of us, Take it easy. Take it easy on the guy. But yeah. All right. Thank you so much. One final time. I'll be back from Vegas probably around Monday. And we'll still be in Elvis mode. So with Geo, yeah, Geo too, that's the other one. Yeah. We just gotta set something up. We gotta set the tone. So we'll be back sometime next week. On Twitter, though, check out Pete. I'll be checking out some stuff and putting it on the timeline. You guys are probably going to want to see it. Appreciate you, Oscar. I'll be thinking about you guys, though. No cap. For real. Going to be thinking about you guys. And can't wait to be back behind this desk. Can't wait to be back in this hometown. Maybe not, back to be in this house specifically. Maybe not the hometown, generally speaking. But gonna rock the pompadour. Not sure if I can pull it off. I tried to pull it off on Instagram, had some difficulty, but I appreciate the 2 cents. Good banter. Yeah, Sean knows how to. Sean gets it. Very cool. Migrated to Instagram after. Yo, Elon Bus, put your Instagram in chat. If you guys, I think it's here. I can put that in chat. Just go on if you guys are on there. We like to schizo post. We do a little schizo posting. We like to be a little more honest on Instagram. So no worries, man. If you guys don't mind. But hey, thank you guys so much. Vingle, Oscar Toe, Elon Buzz, Sean Scorpion, Bell Curve. You guys make it all worthwhile. You guys are the show. You guys are awesome. Pete Canones, of course, Jay Burden. Go watch Jay Burden right now. Check out Wendell whenever you get a chance. These guys are the real deal. So thank you so much. We'll begin shortly. And we got Oros in the chat too. Well, thank you guys once and for all. Love you guys. I love you guys. Is that it? Key West. Oh, is that it? Okay, here, let me look you up live on air. Yo. Is this you? Key West. Is that your account, Key West? Alrighty. No. This. All right. There we go. Alrighty, we got Elon Bus. What? This can't be it. 3,000 or 8,000 followers? Listen, man. I gotta rewind to check Vingle's social media status. But yeah. All right, verify that with me, Elon. I want to keep in touch with you guys. But yes, migrate over to Jay Burden. It is? My goodness. All righty. There you go. I think you'll approve. All righty. Well, thank you guys so much. Oh, and Charlemagne too, for reminding me. Thank you, Brian, and Brian too. I appreciate you guys. Very happy to spend another day with you. Orgeson, thank you so much for stopping by. And bass guitarist, all you guys, I thank you so much. Check out Jaybird, and right now, I'll see you guys when I get back. Take it easy.